Welcome to FRC Media News for Thursday, September 30th, 2021. I'm Keith Tebow. A federal judge completes his sentencing of former Mayor Jaziel Correa. What might voters expect as we head to the polls in November? We get a preview from a former mayor. And riders of SRTA will see fare increases beginning tomorrow. All this and more coming up. U.S. District Court Judge Douglas Woodlock on Monday completed his sentencing of former Mayor Jaziel Correa, acquitting him on 2 counts but ordering him to pay over $300,000 back to his Snow Owl app investors and allow the federal government to collect over $566,000 in personal assets. The judge acquitted the former mayor on 2 remaining tax fraud convictions in dispute by the defense, saying the prosecution did not fully prove its case. Correa was sentenced to serve 6 years in prison for wire fraud and extortion and conspiracy in relation to Correa's dealing with prospective marijuana vendors in exchange for favorable recommendations to state regulators. The judge also denied the defense motion for a new trial and ordered Correa to surrender to begin serving his prison sentence by 2 p.m. on December 3rd at a location still to be determined by the Federal Bureau of Prisons. Latest now on the COVID-19 pandemic in Fall River as of last Thursday, September 23rd. There were 244 new cases of COVID-19 in Fall River last week, up from 249 the week prior. The city now has 15,897 cases confirmed since the onset of the pandemic. On the vaccine front, 58% or 51,695 residents have received at least 1 dose of the vaccine, with 52% or 46,724 residents fully vaccinated. The easiest way to find out where to get the vaccine in Fall River is through the city's vaccination webpage at frvax.com or by calling 833-8VAX-NOW or 833-882-9669. You could also visit the state's webpage at vaxfinder.mass.gov. You can also dial 211. The city is hosting another series of COVID vaccinations at city schools next week. On Tuesday, from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., you can get the vaccine at Morton Middle School. On Wednesday, from 1 to 4 p.m. at Cuss Middle School. Then on Thursday, also from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Stone School. The State Department of Elementary and Secondary Education this week decided to extend the mask mandate in all schools through November 1st. The initial mandate was due to end on October 1st, pending re-examination. The city election is a little less than 5 weeks away, and we thought we'd get a preview of what we may expect from former Fall River Mayor John Mitchell, reacting to last week's preliminary election where Mayor Paul Coogan and City Council President Cliff Ponte advanced to the November election. Mayor Mitchell said he was not surprised by the low voter turnout or Mayor Coogan's margin of victory.
I think the more important thing is just the tenor of what you're getting from people you talk to about the vote. They want some continuity. They don't want the constant change. And, you know, I think there's always a sense with an incumbent, it's only 2 years. People recognize that. More so now, at least for political people and who follow things, that New Bedford has a 4-year term. So, you know, it's almost like an incumbent should get more than 2 years. And what you're hearing more particularly is, in the pandemic, what could you have done as mayor? So, you know, I think there's a sense, the pandemic was managed well, there's money coming in. I think there is a sense of let's have some stability, let's give Mayor Coogan a chance. And that was certainly reflected in the results in the primary.
Mayor Mitchell said with the anticipation of a higher voter turnout in November, Councilor Ponte should continue to be hopeful that there are still votes to be had.
You can change your theme. You can get around in different ways. You can more aggressively campaign. So I know when you're in the heat of it, you never feel defeated until it's over. And I think in his position, what you're looking at is the turnout. That, you know, if there was 12%, it's going to go to 30, 35%, he hopes, in the final round. Then, you know, that's almost double, triple the voters. And how will he do with those? And those are voters to appeal to. I mean, I don't think it's an election where people have focused yet much on it, or I would think there's a large number of undecided. So, yeah, I don't think he has to feel, oh, it's over. And I don't think you feel that way when you're a candidate, you're competitive, and he's certainly a competitive individual. He's going to want to give it a go and work hard between now and November.
With the city council race now getting more attention, Mayor Mitchell feels the 8 incumbents in the race may have an advantage.
Typically, when a mayor does well, the council kind of follows. It's usually an indication of just people content with city government. There's no big change they're looking for. And I would expect that. I would think most of the incumbents would be reelected. But you don't know, And again, and particularly if it's a lower turnout, someone well organizes, and a couple candidates, non-incumbents running, who do have, a good group of people, then they know how to run a campaign, have raised some money, and they could put together a campaign that, particularly in a low turnout, might get them over the, into 8th, 9th, 7th, something like that. But I would expect, based on the history of it, where a mayor does well in a primary, and assuming he does well again in the final, it might be 8 for 8.
For school committee, Mayor Mitchell believes the 3 incumbents in the race have a good chance at re-election, with only 10 candidates on the ballot.
Obviously, there was some turmoil in the school department with the superintendent and some other things, but if I'm running for a school committee, I'm pointing to Durfee, whether I had a lot to do with it or not. But that's just an incredible facility. It seems to have come in well, on budget, on time, and that's just something to point to with a great deal of pride. But I would think 3 incumbents are well protected.
With no preliminary election for city council or school committee, and only a 5-week window left to garner support, Mayor Mitchell feels those candidates with a strong organization have a better chance of succeeding.
There's no better poll than an actual vote. Nothing beats that. And that's what they don't have. And it's harder on newcomers because, you might think, well, I'm well known in the Flint, but it turns out maybe only a few precincts in the Flint, and there's areas you could have gone in and worked harder. And it's obviously the incumbents have the advantage also in that regard, that some of them have multiple years of results to look at, and they know where they're strong and where they're weak, and where they've got to pull out extra votes. So, yeah, it hurts not having a primary when you're challenging.
Former Mayor Mitchell is also a current Bristol County Commissioner, with the county looking to share a portion of its $110 million in American Rescue Plan funds with the 20 cities and towns within its jurisdiction. Mitchell says the eligible uses for the money in the ARPA program are not within the purview of county government in Massachusetts, and the money could be better spent by cities and towns. He says the county will still keep some of the funding to improve county buildings impacted by COVID-19.
At least our vote was to keep about roughly 10% of 104 for the county. Probably won't spend it all, but we do need to, and one of the things you can do because of COVID, you can improve ventilation, HVAC, in all our buildings. We certainly needed it at the registry down in Fall River, the Superior and District in New Bedford, the registry building there, and then there's the buildings in Attleboro and Taunton. So we do want to work on that. We also did the construction at the agricultural school, and there's COVID-related expenses there.
Mitchell says the money available to cities and towns will be administered by the county.
We've hired CLA, an accounting firm with a very good reputation in public matters. They've set up a website. And basically the way it will work is each city and town will have access to that website. It'll be grouped into the 6 areas that qualify for funding. And you'll go on the website. From the communities, nonprofits, businesses can apply for the money, but they have to go through their local government. And each community, depending on their form of government, will have a different procedure for that. That works for us in the sense of, we don't know every community, and, if a nonprofit comes in, the community may feel they've got money, they could fund it through there, or perhaps it's something that should go to the state, because the state has oodles of money. They have a lot of money from this, and they haven't spent any of it yet. And if they determine, no, this would be a good use for the community and for the county, they would pass it on.
Riders of the Southeastern Regional Transit Authority, or SRTA, will see an increase in fares beginning tomorrow, October 1st. The fares will revert back to levels that were in place prior to the onset of COVID-19.
Coming out of having no fares, we wanted to try to ease our passengers into paying the fares again. So we did go to $1 fare for cash transactions, and we're going to be going up to the previous $1.50 fare coming up on October 1st. One thing that is also good news is that there will be new pricing for multi-use passes, such as the monthly pass and the all-day pass, and the 1 week pass, all of which will see approximately a 25% reduction from pre-COVID levels. So while the full cash fare is going back to what it previously had been, there will be new opportunities for our passengers to benefit and save.
Administrator Eric Russo says along with savings for riders who purchase multi-ride passes, users of the MBTA Charlie card for payment will also see some benefits. Masks are still required on all buses, and the authority continues to adhere to other COVID protocols around the cleaning of buses and all terminals. Even though the community is learning to live through COVID-19, ridership numbers remain a concern.
At the moment, we're still a little bit down from where we were pre-pandemic. There are spots where we've actually grown. Midday trips are up in some areas. And I think that's reflective of people's habits having changed at this point. I don't know that people are going out as late as they used to pre-pandemic. So we're continuing to monitor that. We actually made a list of the top 50 transit agencies in the country in terms of their ridership recovery. We're at 78% according to the National Transit Database. So that's pretty good, but that means that there's still room for us to grow back to where we had been.
Since early summer, access to the Fall River Terminal has been limited due to ongoing construction to the terminal's station deck.
So what we did is we removed the top layers of concrete and then got all the way down to the waterproofing. And we're changing out the waterproofing to make sure that the concrete underneath that stays in good shape. And then we lay down new concrete and a new protective layer above that. However, as you mentioned, I think what I read in the Globe was that there was about 1.5 inches of rain in 2020 in the month of July. And we had 14 or 15 inches of rain in July of 2021. And that seems to have continued through August and some of September. So we are a little bit challenged when working with concrete if there's going to be a lot of rain or high moisture times. But we are making progress and hopefully we'll be done soon.
Russo is hopeful the construction will be completed by this winter. Public transportation is on the mind of one of the Democratic candidates running for governor next year. Former State Senator Ben Downing toured the state earlier this month to promote his plans to expand public transportation and to make it more affordable. During a stop in Fall River, Downing said a robust and reliable regional transportation structure should be a priority in Massachusetts.
The rationale is, and the idea is, we want to limit barriers to people using transit services. We know that cost is a barrier to folks using transit services. Along with making transit free, we also want to increase the budget and the support from the state so that, one, you fill that hole in the budget that fares would otherwise fill, but also, two, that SRTA, the BRTA, and that all of their sister agencies across the state could run more regular, reliable service so that folks can start to actually hop on a bus and run a few errands instead of having to get in the car and add to congestion on our streets. It's about making these agencies the vital backbone of a community that they can and should be.
Downing says his plan would give the regional transit authorities, like SRTA, more autonomy to make decisions in the best interests of their riders. He says making transit fares free or low cost will require an increased investment from the state.
So first you do it through the Fair Share Amendment, which will be on the ballot next year. That's going to ask those who have benefited from economic growth even during this pandemic to pay a little bit more. Then we're going to establish regional transportation commissions that every 3 years or 5 years will put to the voters in a region a plan to make the investments that they need to make, and that voters are going to either vote for it or vote against it, and that'll determine if it moves forward or not. We need to empower regions to control their transportation futures so that we can get out of the status quo that doesn't serve anyone in Massachusetts. We're going to provide greater support. We're going to knock down barriers to people using transit, and that's going to allow people to connect to jobs. It's going to allow them to connect to educational opportunities. It's going to allow them to connect to healthcare services that they vitally need. I've seen this throughout my riding on these services across the state. It is folks who desperately need just a little bit of help who are reliant on these systems. Let's improve them, make them better, and make our community stronger in the long run.
The Fall River Public Library is now allowing residents to check out free mobile hotspots so that they can connect to the internet from just about anywhere. The Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners has distributed over 3,000 hotspots to 220 libraries across the Commonwealth.
We have 15 hotspots. The money was given to the Board of Library Commissioners from the Institute of Museum and Library Science. We have them for 1 year. Anyone with a library card that's 18 or older can check out a hotspot. They're very small. And this little device will give you internet connectivity for up to 15 devices in one household. They are renewable for 2 weeks if there's no holes on them. So if you plan on going on vacation and you know that you're not going to have internet access, it's a good idea to book one of these hotspots. That way you will have connectivity no matter where you are.
The library hopes to add laptops to pair with the hotspots for patrons in the near future. We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Office Assistant, Rex Monumental Works, located at 1505 Stafford Road, seeks a full-time office assistant to perform clerical duties in an office setting such as answer the telephone, distribute messages, and redirect calls to the appropriate colleagues. Job number 1553279. Observer, Seven Hills Foundation, located at 1402 Pleasant Street, is looking for a full-time observer to supervise safe child visits and to intervene during the visits where deemed necessary. Job number 1559184. Scheduling Specialist, Primacare, located at 277 Pleasant Street, is in need of a full-time scheduling specialist to provide scheduling support for a multifaceted clinical office to ensure a smooth scheduling function in the central scheduling department. Job number 1555857. Clinical Social Worker, Family Service Association, located at 101 Rock Street, is looking for a full-time clinical social worker. For more information, call 508-677-3822. Republic Services, located at 1080 Airport Road, has an immediate need for the following full and part-time positions. Dispatcher, job number 1551408. Roll-off truck driver, job number 1551413. For more information about these or other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.dcs.eol.mass.gov or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
The COVID vaccine is a critical tool to protect yourself and in the pandemic.
But you might have questions about its safety.
The same safety measures used for all vaccines were used for the COVID vaccine.
Tens of thousands participated in vaccine trials to prove it's safe.
Since then, millions of people of all races and ethnicities have gotten the vaccine and experienced only mild side effects.
I got the vaccine to protect myself, my family, and my patients.
When it's your turn, trust the facts. Get the vax.
Welcome back. Beginning this Monday, the City of Fall River will begin its semi-annual water system flushing program. The flushing will be held from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and continue until November 19th. Residents may experience some temporary discoloration of their water during the flushing operation. The Water Division cautions residents to check their water before washing laundry. For any questions, you can call 508-324-2721. Even though summer is over, local farmers markets will continue through October, while making fresh local produce available to those in need through the state's Healthy Incentive Program, or HIP. HIP allows those who are receiving food assistance through SNAP to purchase fresh fruits and vegetables at farmers markets, with money from HIP replenishing the money used from the SNAP benefits to pay for their produce. The program has been in existence for 4 years, and according to Winton Pitkoff, director of the Massachusetts Food System Collaborative, the number of those in need benefiting from HIP has grown, as has the bounty for local farmers.
July was the first time the program had over $1 million worth of incentives earned. It was also the first month that more than 30,000 households benefited from the program. And we continue to see this sort of growth, and it's great for farmers because we talk about programs being successful when they have two bottom lines, when it's helping both sides. This program is not only helping farmers, it's helping the local economy, it's helping the environment, and it's not only helping consumers, it's helping our public health system because it's making sure that people who are traditionally much more vulnerable to chronic dietary-related diseases, making sure that they are less susceptible because they have better access to healthy food.
Sarah Labossiere of Mass in Motion Fall River says within the city, the awareness of HIP and local farmers markets have made a positive impact on the overall health of local residents.
So many of them said they were so happy and pleased that it was close to where they lived or worked, and it was very convenient. And when they saw the market, it reminded them to come out. When they saw the signs on the lawn, it reminded them to show up and buy their produce. And when they saw the posts on Facebook, they were reminded to use their SNAP cards and get their HIP, earn their HIP funds. And so it's been wonderful that such a close association. All the agencies in Fall River have been so willing to share information and remind their clients and their customers to come out to the markets. It's been a wonderful thing. We've definitely seen increased growth since last year, and we're very grateful for that.
Pitkoff says his organization is partnering with others to ensure HIP becomes a permanent program.
We've filed some enabling legislation, and it's called an Act Relative to a Healthy Incentives Program, Senate Bill 108 and House Bill 250. This bill would encode the program into statute. It would say that this program exists in law. It's not something that's at the whim of future administrations to take away if they want to take it away. And it would also make sure that the best parts of the program, the one-to-one, the dollar-for-dollar match, would sustain over the long term.
The Fall River Farmers Markets take place Tuesdays from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at St. Anne's Hospital, Wednesdays from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Health First Family Care Center, and Fridays from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Cardinal Medeiros Towers. We'll wrap up FRC Media News right after this.
Welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we have Apollo. Apollo's been here a little while. He came from Puerto Rico. He's been here since June. He's about 10 months old. We're having a bit of a hard time finding a really good home for Apollo, not because of behavior issues. He's actually a really fantastic dog, really outgoing, very hyper, lots of energy, loves to play. But whenever new people come in to see him, he gets very scared. For some reason, he's just super nervous whenever strangers are coming around. He's gonna need a patient home. He would benefit greatly from training. He also would need a really good outlet for his energy because, as I said, even though he's not showing it right now, he is a very energetic dog. If you have an active lifestyle and you want someone to go on adventures with you and you're willing to have a little patience and work with him, Apollo might possibly be a good fit to your home. Head over to our website, foreverpaws.com, check out Apollo, fill out an application, give us a call, and we can make an appointment for you to come down and meet Apollo.
Today we have Butters. He's about 2 years old. He's a little stray, so we don't know much about his history. He's a really outgoing cat so far. He's very curious. He's very, as we can see, he's inquisitive, so he's gonna have fun exploring a house. He'll do okay in an active home. So if you're interested in Butters, you can go on to foreverpaws.com for how to fill out an application for him. And you can come on down to 300 Glenwood Street in Fall River and meet Butters.
La vacuna contra el COVID es una herramienta muy importante para protegerse y terminar con la pandemia.
Pero tal vez tenga preguntas sobre su seguridad.
Para la vacuna contra el COVID se siguieron las mismas medidas utilizadas en todas las vacunas.
Miles de personas participaron para demostrar que la vacuna es segura.
Millones de personas de diferentes razas y etnias han recibido sus vacunas y solo han experimentado efectos secundarios leves.
Yo me vacuné para protegerme a mí, a mi familia y a mis pacientes.
Cuando le toque a usted, confíe en las pruebas. Vacúnese.
That's all for this edition of FRC Media News. Please continue to visit our website at frmedia.org for all the latest news and information. FRC Media News airs Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next Thursday.